Hey guys, I'm here in Thermal, California because Subaru has just taken the wraps off of the brand spanking new 2022 BRZ. That's right, we've been waiting quite some time for Subaru to introduce an all-new version of this vehicle, and I have the car in front of me, so let's take a first look. So Subaru has been teasing us with the all-new BRZ for quite some time now, and finally getting to see this car in person. I have to admit, it looks even better in the flesh versus in photos, and this car already for me was a very attractive looking design, especially when I first saw the pictures. This one here that I'm showing you is the WR Blue. This is of course the signature color that we expect on the BRZ. I really like the way the front fascia looks. This one here is also the automatic in the limited trim, and you can see here looking at the front fascia, Subaru has completely redesigned the look of this car. The headlights are especially different. They're much larger versus the previous generation. They are a full LED design. Subaru says that there's a very distinctive LED daytime running light, an LED low and high beam. You can see there's also an LED turn signal. Down here you can see there are functional vents everywhere on this car. The grille has been enlarged. The vents that you see on the inside there are for the brake cooling ducts, of course, and the engine is going to be able to get some air. I think the car itself looks lower, it looks wider. The platform, Subaru says, is actually a little bit different. It's a bespoke platform that has taken some engineering elements, of course, from the Subaru Global platform. But remember, this is still the company's only rear-wheel drive car. Now, looking at the wheels, Subaru did upgrade the wheel sizes. The premiums will come with a 17-inch wheel, while this limited comes with an 18-inch design. They've also upgraded the tires to a Michelin Pilot Sport 4. So Subaru was getting complaints that the previous generation didn't have enough grip. They've improved that with, of course, the tires, and there's still a 215 width tire. So this is a car that's going to be probably still drift happy, tail happy, although I'm just going to be going for a short drive or ride today. But I won't be able to actually drive the car until a later date. Now, looking at the side profile, I'm noticing that this car in the middle, it looks pretty similar to the previous generation, although you can see Subaru has added some functional vents. You can see this vent here is functional. It allows the car to better slip through the air. The rear over here, you can see there's a couple of things that Subaru has added to, again, improve the aerodynamics of this car. They also did say that they widened the rear track, and you can definitely tell, especially when looking at this particular angle here, the car itself just looks low and wide. The center of gravity, of course, remains low because this has a boxer engine. Now, let's talk about the rear design of this vehicle, because I think the rear is actually a better looking area to look at versus the front. You can see the taillights have been fully redesigned, where they're a full LED as well. I see some elements here, especially from this angle, of the Lexus RC and perhaps even an Acura NSX. The taillights kind of remind me of that, especially with this little black bar that kind of connects the two taillight modules together. Underneath here, you can see the dual exhaust system looks pretty similar. Remember, this has a new 2.4 liter engine, which I'll talk about in just a moment. And then opening up the trunk here, the trunk remains pretty large and spacious considering how small this coupe is. The previous generation had just under 7 cubic feet. Subaru did not have final specs for this new one just yet. Now, underneath the hood, I know a lot of you are probably curious, did Subaru put a turbo under the hood of this thing? Unfortunately, no. Instead, what they did is they kind of took a page from the Honda Civic Si. They've enlarged the engine. It's now a 2.4 liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder. It's essentially the same motor that we find in the Ascent. However, they have taken off the turbos, but they have improved the torque by 15%, and we have roughly a 23 horsepower boost. And looking at the engine, you can see typical Subaru fashion, it is mounted very low in the chassis, so you have an even lower center of gravity versus the previous generation. And the numbers are pretty good, honestly, considering the weight of this car is only about 80 pounds more versus the previous generation, 228 horsepower and 184 pound-feet of torque. The torque number especially improves by around 33 pound-feet. So that's going to really improve the acceleration of this vehicle, considering the fact that it doesn't really weigh that much more. Subaru says the doors, the fenders, the hood are all made of aluminum. That help to keep the weight in check. And you can take your pick between a standard 6-speed manual that comes with a limited slip differential, or this particular one here has the 6-speed automatic transmission. So that's why Subaru decided not to go with a Lineartronic CVT, which I think is a good decision, although I do wish that they had added 2 more gears. I'll have to wait until I actually drive the vehicle. Now, they don't have fuel economy information just yet. Remember, the current generation is rated to get 21 in the city city, 29 on the highway if you guys had the manual. The automatic would do 23-33. The one thing about the automatic is they did add the Subaru Eyesight driver assist, which is actually standard. And with an additional almost 30 horsepower, this should improve the 0 to 60 performance of this car, but it's going to leave a lot of room for tuners because Subaru claims that this is their second vehicle that has the youngest buyers in their portfolio. So the exterior of the new 2022 BRZ is definitely very good looking in person, but what about the interior? Subaru has completely changed the inside, so I thought I'd show you guys this particular one. This is the limited with the 6-speed manual. The blue one that I also showed you is the automatic model. And as you can see, I was lucky enough to actually have the key in the vehicle. It's the same Subaru key fob. This one here being the limited has the smart key access system. And this interior definitely feels familiar to me if you guys have been in the previous generation. However, Subaru has upgraded the technology in here. You can see there's now an 8-inch touchscreen, which is standard, and you have this digital 7-inch display here, which is customizable, which is nice. You can see the door panel looks pretty nice. You have this Alcantara here on the upper door panel here. You have the same red contrasting stitching, a nice padded area here, and then when you shut the door, it actually sounds pretty similar to the last one that I drove with the way the door sounds. You can see windows switches are up, down, one touch for both the driver and the front passenger windows. Now here's the steering wheel for the vehicle. It actually looks pretty similar to the current generation steering wheel. I kind of wish Subaru had gone with a flat bottom wheel design for the steering wheel. The steering wheel itself still has a manual tilt telescoping function. I really like the way that new gauge display looks with the digital tach. You can see there's the 8-inch screen. Materials, there's a soft touch, or there's an Alcantara material over an instrument panel hood. This is a soft touch injection molded plastic. Their vents here, I feel like I'm seeing some Toyota design elements in this cabin. I like the new screen. I like the way how it's larger. I like how it's laid out. This right here is hard touch plastic. There's some silver painted plastic trim. You can see this area here hasn't changed too much. You still have these toggle style buttons. There's heated mirrors on this one. You have dual zone climate control, which is nice. I like how Subaru puts the little screen in there. And then here you can see this is the Subaru Starlink 8-inch touchscreen. It does include Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, although it is not wireless. You can see if you guys have been in other Subaru products, this is going to feel pretty familiar. I'm surprised they didn't want to go with a larger screen, but it is an inch larger versus the previous generation. This particular one here does not have the factory embedded GPS, but if you have your phone plugged in, it'll show you the ways and whatnot. If I put the vehicle into reverse, you can see there's the backup camera. It's just a pretty simple backup camera with distance markers, no 360 camera or anything like that. This is a small car, as you guys know. There is still the same buttons over here where you can turn off the stability control. There's a track button here. And when you put the vehicle into track mode, it actually will change the way the gauge display looks. However, this car here, I'm not able to get it to switch. So I'll have to show you guys a little B-roll clip footage there. You can see there's the gauge display there in the standard mode where you can kind of change the way this looks over here. It still shows you that little graph of power and torque, just like the previous generation. There's also a lap timer, a G meter and whatnot. This is, again, a full digital display, which is nice. The 6-speed manual, it feels pretty similar to the previous generation or the current generation model. Reverse is accessed by pulling up on this ring here by going to reverse. It's a very short throw shifter. Love the fact that you still have a manual parking brake here. These switches for the heated seats haven't really changed too much. You can see here, this is a nice padded area here. There's a pretty good amount of storage. Your cup holders are back here, and then Subaru gives you 2 USB ports. Now, they did say that the seats have been redesigned. These seats, of course, are the upgraded seats with the limited. They have a suede Alcantara, some red stitching, and whatnot. And then you can see here the glove compartment. It actually looks larger. It is not damped or lined with felt, but for a sports car, remember, this has a pretty good amount of space in it. And Subaru they do offer their Eyesight driver assist technology. If you guys go for the automatic model, you can get the Eyesight driver assist. And then, like the previous generation, there is a back seat back there, but it's mostly best reserved for very small children, or you can fold down those seats and put pretty large packages into the trunk area. So I'm not able to drive the new BRZ yet, but I am going to go for a hot lap here with Scott Speed. He's Subaru's race car driver. And we're going to go out in the Thermal Club and we're going to see what this BRZ is like.
Before?
I have not been to this track. I heard it's a very fun track though.
Oh yeah, well,
oh yeah. feels so tail happy, but it's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's got more power than the old one.
I noticed that. It definitely has more
So
power.
I can play with it a bit more, but it still has all the same amazing handling characteristics.
Oh yeah,
right?
so balanced.
Yeah, exactly, and that's why it's so fast around a track.
Yeah, it sounds good too. I like the sound a lot. Now, Subaru says the all-new 2022 BRZ will be going on sale by October of next year, so you have to wait roughly a year to get one of these. I should be driving one hopefully sometime early next year, but they haven't announced pricing just yet. The current model starts at around $28,800. The TS version's like another $2,000 on top of that. I expect the starting price of this car to be right around the same area. Remember, Subaru did not go with a turbocharged engine, which did keep the price in check because they could have put a turbo on it, but it would have likely increased the price to well over $35,000. So if they can keep the price under 30 grand, I think that Subaru is going to offer a very appealing option, especially with the new tech, the new driver assistance, the new styling, and of course the additional horsepower. So they did address the criticism, of course, with the previous generation having slightly less torque. This one here has about 15% more, so I'm very much looking forward to driving this all-new BRZ. But with all that said, I hope you guys have enjoyed my full first look view of the 2022 BRZ. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always, guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.